Name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Move for Change Ministries is live on air once more. It's just after the midday hour here in North America, and we are so happy to be live on air. We pray as you join, may you share with a friend, share with a neighbor. Please like and share this program and follow this program. You can view this program also on YouTube, and while you are there, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So whenever we go live on air, both on Facebook and YouTube, you can get that notification. I want to thank you so much for sharing the program with your friends and your neighbors time after time. And I know that you are committed faithfully to Move for Change Ministry. And this is what we will do. Continue to share the good news of Jesus Christ all around the world. And we will keep doing that as the Lord bless us with strength. Today with me, I have a special guest online. He's all the way from Zimbabwe, Elder Masuka. Welcome you to this live program today. It's a great privilege of having you on this program. We are different parts of the world, and this is what technology does. Bring us right as though we are in the same environment. So I want to thank the Lord for you today. Elder Masuka, can you talk a little bit about yourself? Let the folks know who they'll be looking at.
Thanks, Baxter. Thank you for inviting me to this powerful program. My name, has been said, is Kudzai Masuka. Kudzai meaning praise, from Zimbabwe here in Africa. I completed my education some years ago from Solus University, the Adventist University here in Zimbabwe. And I completed my ACCA UK some 3 years back, and I'm a registered public accountant here in Zimbabwe, and I'm currently working for the General Conference Auditing Services, where I'm an audit manager at the moment, and based in Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division. That's Southern Africa, SID. So basically, that's what I do. I'm an auditor in the Adventist Church.
So you have a lot on your plate to do, because auditing, it's a lot. You already have a lot on your plate, and that's a lot of brain work, power work, and you are dealing with finance. So we have the right person here this morning to deal with this program. Today we are talking about managing your finance in the pandemic. Managing your finance in the pandemic. Elder, we have some very important questions to discuss here today, and we are looking for some powerful suggestion from you, which we believe that you will bless us with some very powerful suggestion. Finance is a very tricky and important subject in the family life. Very, very important and tricky subject. For your family personally, this is somewhat a little personal question. For your family personally, how have you been handling it, or your family been handling it since the pandemic in regards to finance?
Oh, thank you very much. I really understand that the pandemic has been a game changer. Many things really changed, such that we now all seem to have been defeated, and we go to what we call the new normal.
Yes.
So bridging from that old normal to the new normal, that has been our response in the pandemic, with the finances dwindling. As I mentioned in my introduction, that I'm an auditor at the General Conference. Our job particularly involves traveling from one country to the other, even out of Africa or even out of Southern Africa. And that traveling would also been bringing some additional income. And now that we are in a lockdown, shut down here and there, definitely on my part as well, finances really dwindled, and the brook almost or did dry up. And so the basic response to that can only be cutting down on some comforts. You stop doing some other things that we're doing. You reduce expenditure on things that you may consider unnecessary, because you have to revisit that as you adjust.
What are some of the
things?
things?
Life is adjusting, so you need to adjust as well.
What are some of the things? I know this is a kind of open question. What are some of the things that you would encourage families to cut down on in this pandemic so that they can sort of balance their finance?
Yeah, and I appreciate that families may not be the same, but if each family would sit down and identify their needs versus their wants, I'm sure there are some things that we can find that we can do without these. assume that you have lost your job completely, assume that your breadwinner is not there anymore. What is it that you are going to forge ahead with, and what is it that you can do without? We can identify those things if we take time to take stock of what we really need. So you may see that some things we are just doing them as luxury because we can afford, not because we need
Right.
them. So if we come down to the table in the new normal, think outside that comfort zone, we can see that we can do without the third car. We can do without maybe buying clothes every month. We can do without some of the things. It's up to the family to see what they can cut, but definitely
Right.
there's some that they can cut.
Would you say finance is an anger trigger for most family?
I beg your pardon?
Would you say finance, money, it's an anger trigger? It can be an anger trigger for most family because when there's no finance, most time there's a lot of conflict in the home. You got a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's almost a straightforward question on my side because
Mm-hmm.
um, money makes, they say, men made money and the money made men go mad. I don't- yeah, so unfortunately, when you talk about finances, there's the income side of it, how it comes in, and how we manage it when it is there. There's also the expenditure. So I'm sure you agree with me that the expenditure and keeping the money has been very problematic, even in times of peace, even before the pandemic. Worse now with the pandemic, when the sources of many families have dwindled, some families may fail to hold up together. The
And
center falls.
and there's a fight start coming in because money is now a major problem in the home. I want to take some time to welcome those who I'm seeing online. I'm seeing La Sila Clark, and also I'm seeing June Foster. Welcome you, and Chavon Antoine. Welcome you to the program. We are talking today about finance and managing our finance in the pandemic time. We are in a new normal, and with us today on the program, it's Elder Masuka, all the way from Zimbabwe, and he deals with finance every day. So he's just the right person to talk to us about in managing our finance. Finance is so important to all of us, and we need to take good care of our finance, especially according to the old folks in the rainy season. Tell us a little bit more about which age group you believe mishandle finance most.
The age group that I would cite or think that it is more of a victim to that thing is maybe these young couples, maybe from 24, these graduates who are still trying to find their feet, and they've got their expectations of what of lifestyle that they want, but now the resources are not meeting that lifestyle, or they are trying to keep up appearance with their friends who are apparently doing better in their own territory. So to keep up that, to compete with the next person, that is the age group, the 25 to 40, 45, thereabout. Young couples are trying to find their own homes to build so that they move out from rental apartments, and we end up doing things that we can't afford because we want to meet up that standard that we may not even be able to. Yeah, we've got some competition that we have put for ourselves,
You
and yet
know,
no one is judging us.
okay, we said earlier on that finance is a trigger in the home, right? And personally, have you dealt with any couple that you know personally that is having problems since the pandemic over money? You don't have to call names, but in your experience every day.
Yeah, not a personal one, but as a church leader, I'm also a leader at our local church, and generally, as a church worker, we meet a lot of people and cases where families are breaking up because of money. You know, when there's a lot of money, no one really struggles with how it has been spent.
Yeah,
But when the resources become thin,
depleted.
everyone now their eyes open to say, where's the dollar gone? So because of the COVID, and we are also a third world country, and most of our people here are not employed, and they we call it hustling. We buy and sell, so it really becomes very sensitive, elastic in terms of expenditure, and families really break up because of that.
Okay, okay, okay. My another question for you: What is the best advice you will give, or the best model advice, I should say, or recommend, so that families can generate more saving in this time of the pandemic? Loss of jobs. What would you recommend to the people out there that they can do best from your experience, where they can generate income or savings in the family?
Okay, the question has got two things: generating income and also savings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start talking about maybe savings. Savings, normally we find that people want to spend and what remains is saved. But if we follow that operation, you know that you may spend everything
Mm-hmm.
and then there's nothing to save.
Right.
So I came across an advice that we must save before we spend. We must save and spend. Actually, we must spend what remains after saving. We need to determine as a family, as individuals, how much am I going to save every month. If I say I want to save 10%, the way
Mm-hmm.
we retain our tithes and offerings, I also want to set aside a tenth for savings, then I spend the remainder. Unlike the other way, where we are used to spending, and then if a dollar remains, then that's what we put aside. So you wonder whether it's a saving or it's just what has remained. So that's one thing. I'll talk about income generating. I know that when we talk about lockdowns, we are normally talking about us being blocked from going to our formal employment, but we have got other things that we can do that
Mm-hmm.
generate income. I know there are many people who are now doing online courses. So, as a person who may qualify to teach some of those courses, I can also ask for online jobs. I can also get a class from a nearby college, a nearby university to teach. In as much as I'm auditing, but I need to make sure that I don't interfere with the employer, my main employer's work. In these other hours that I can set up, I can do other things that don't disturb my work, but they generate additional income. I can do poultry at home. I can do gardening. Anything that reduces expenditure outflow. That's one thing that we can do as families.
Okay, okay. Coming back here in North America, I know we are different parts of the world. Coming back here in North America, it is said that a lot of divorces took place already since the pandemic. People are just divorcing because they cannot agree with each other. People are accustomed, wife is out on work, husband is out on work, and children are at school. Now everybody is in the same space.
Mm.
Everybody's in the same space, and clashes now are taking place, and just through that now families cannot cope with each other in the same space, because this is a new normal. This is a new
Mm.
normal. Can you share anything with couples who are experiencing this kind of problem?
Yes, I know a story about maybe my own parents. In our setup here, my father would be in town in Harare or
Mm.
whatever most of the time, and maybe my mother was in the rural areas back then, and my father would go there once a month. Only when he retired, then they started staying together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's when they said they started to adjust to each other at retirement. That's when they started living together as a family. So that was them. So
Mm-hmm.
for us also, with this COVID that has come, I see the same situation where people used to just meet for a few hours at home, they
Mm-hmm.
part, they stay their lives apart. Now COVID comes and says, stay together.
In the same
You
space.
see, we are now forced to really live together as a family, and then those things that we are neglecting come to appear, and those things that we do not have enough time to expose ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we get exposed. So now we need to do an analysis. Do I love this person for who he is, or because of these other things? Then you decide to move away. So it's a matter of comparing the eternal versus the temporal.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that I
Right.
love.
Right.
I stay with them through thick and thin, or I move out just because this person does what I don't like. Yeah.
Right. Ella, some couples guard their finance individually. Husband guard his finance and wife guard her finance. They have separate accounts. They do not know really what is transpiring with each other, So just guarding that account every time, nobody knows what's happening. Would you say that's a good? I know every family dynamic is different. What are some of
Mhm.
the struggles can come out of each person in the family is guarding his or her money? Because we know as Christian that when you're married, you're one. you're working together. Once nobody's cheating each other, but what are some of the disadvantages that people can face when they are guarding their accounts individually? From your experience.
Okay, that one is a bit tricky, as you said, that each setup is different. It may not really be an issue to say which account has the money, but what do you want to do together as a family? What do you want
I like
to
that.
do together? Yeah, what do you want to do together? If we know that we are going to buy a mansion or to pay a lease or something, we know that our common enemy is to pay this bill. How are we going to finance um, how are we going to contribute towards this? Now it depends on the family dynamic. If the husband is the one who is doing that, if that is the arrangement, let it be. If the wife is coming in that month to pay the lease or to pay the bills, that's it. I don't think there may be a problem with having the money in one particular account, but the togetherness comes in terms of communicating who is going to pay from whichever account. Together we are doing it as a family.
Okay. I purposely asked that question, throw it out there because I know that there are families who normally do that, and something happen, and the husband or the wife cannot give any account for what's going on. They don't know what to do. You understand? They do not know what to do, and eventually might be death, and all the finance from the wife might go straight to the government, or the husband have to go and file for that money now, taking thousands of dollars, or the wife have to go and file for that money. But as Christians, let's talk about a little bit about Christians. As Christians, would you encourage families to join together in their finance, just like how they read the Bible and so on?
Yes. You see, if there's no communication, whether the funds flow into one particular account or they go to different accounts, it's neither here nor there. For instance, myself, I've been into I'm an accountant for the past many years, as I would say. My wife is not into accounting.
Okay.
And I don't want, personally, I said, I can't sweat with conference funds. I can't sweat with union funds. And then I come home and do accounting again. So I want to be an accountant at work. I'm not an accountant at home. So my wife, who is a non-accountant, is the one who would spend more time wondering how to do with the finances and so forth. And she knows how much is there, how much we get, and so she spends. She also works. She spends according to that. Or I may even go and facilitate a transaction, but it's what we have agreed that we are doing, not being in one account. Whatever communication comes in, Baxter, who is paying this time, but it's all our money.
Okay. Would you say if the husband is better at finance, let him do most of that, or if the wife is better, whoever is stronger on such a point, whether it's money or other things in the home, the person who is strong on what particular point, that should be the person who's leading out on that. Because nowadays everybody's working, wife working, husband working, not because I'm the husband, I would lead out in certain things. What about if my wife is stronger than me on a particular point?
A budget is a financial plan, how you are going to spend money. Maybe if you say how much you are going to earn and how much you are going to spend for what. The couple that is strong, the partner who is strong and the partner who is weak, they are sitting together at the end of the month to decide what they are going to do. They are combining their strengths. Even if the other partner is weak, they've got their strength, they've got their contribution. Once that is laid down, I don't see where the weakness of the other partner comes in terms of executing the plan. Because the thing is that when we sit together and plan, we have done something for our family.
Yes.
Now it's about implementation. I don't think someone is going to do what we didn't agree. If there's need to move a bit out of the line, that should be communicated again and agreed and move on.
Right.
So we can't say one partner is strong in terms of decision making as if they are doing their own thing. Let them bring that strong opinion into the discussion. When it is accepted, then we move together as a
Beautiful,
family.
beautiful. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. Let us take a short break. I want to welcome those who are on the platform right now. I'm seeing Fitzgerald Jordan. I'm seeing Ancaster. Welcome to you to the program. I'm seeing Betty and Joseph all the way from Tobago. That's my sister-in-law. Today we are dealing with finance, and we know very well that's a very heavy topic in the family. It's a part of the family that can create lots of issues if you do not have strong and meaningful communication. Today with us we have Ella Masuka all the way from Zimbabwe. He's a specialist in accounting, and he's sharing some tips and bits with us how we can handle our finance throughout this pandemic, how we can grow, our savings, even though we might not be working as much. It is imperative that we work together. That's every question that I ask him, that is his strong point, working together as family. Elder, welcome back to the program once more. My next question is very similar to the one that I asked you a while ago. What, in your view, is the relationship between communication and managing finance in the family?
Yes, communication is not necessarily being able to exchange words. Communication should go deeper into sharing a purpose. What do we want to do as a family? We want to build a house. Now we want to build a house. How are we going to finance it? Let the wife's salary be there to cater for the family needs. The husband's salary is going towards the capital project, or the other way around. Whatever we agree, the idea is to agree on how to spend.
Right.
So finance is especially the outflow. When we talk about finance, we are talking about the outflow. Family finance is mainly the outflow. Let us agree. Let us communicate. We cannot agree without communicating. It has to come out of the mouth. It has to come out of the intent, the purpose, what we want to achieve together as a family. We are not here to compete. We are just here to communicate, to collaborate, and do things together as a family. Then our finances run smoothly. If we don't have as a family. Not to say the other person has, the other one doesn't have. It's one family.
Dr. Ben Carson says that his mom taught them everything about finance and the expenses in the homes and things like that. We know that many, many years ago. Would you say now that would fit into families for today? Children must know what's happening in regards to the finance in the family?
I would say yes, depending on the age of the children, to what extent they are able to understand. If you've got very young children, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they don't even understand.
I'm talking about,
those ones may be exempted, but when they are grown up and not really grown up, but maybe when they understand, I think we should be able to perceive that my children can now understand what is happening. We can rope them in, because it's not only for them to know, but they also learn how to manage finances, not to wait to learn from school or to learn from friends. They should see it happening also at home. By beholding, they become changed.
Right. Ella, I can see that you are very strong on budgeting as an accountant. I can see it, I can feel it, because you always revert right back, no matter what question I ask, you revert right back to budgeting and communicating. Now, as Christians, we are Seventh-day Adventists and we believe in tithing. How important tithing is to you?
Tithing is I'll give you a story about pillar on a building.
Yes, the pillar.
So I want to take tithing as a pillar of a relationship with God. If you are digging, those who do mining underground, and if something has been designated as a pillar underground, imagine you fail to get gold or diamond anywhere else, and then at last you find the diamond is on a pillar. What are you going to do?
Wow.
Are you going to break the pillar to get the diamond, and then you risk the ground crumbling on you?
Right.
I want to say that tithing is a pillar in our relationship with God. No matter what, we cannot take the diamond from the pillar. So I'll say in a nutshell, in proper English, tithing is non-negotiable. We must return what belongs to God of any increase, small or big.
Okay, but would you say people who tithe they should I use it this way? Let me see. Would you say people who tithe they are more beneficial or have it's a tricky one, have a closer relationship with God?
No, it is not it's not a reflection of a proper relationship with God, because religion is so wide.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot excuse non-tithing
Mm-hmm.
for other virtues that one may say, okay, I'm good in music, so I would rather not tithe. Tithing is a non-negotiable thing. Just returning to God what belongs to Him. We cannot. How do we? How do you go back to God and ask for His blessings when you owe Him?
Right.
If you can't return, why should you receive?
Right. Got it. I'm getting it.
Yeah. So someone says that a tithe offering, there sort of a box, a package, a box that contains the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am sending someone to your house with some parcel, I'm using my basket. When you receive my basket, check the contents, return the basket.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's mine. The basket is mine. So tithe is the basket that ushers blessings to you. Return it to the owner so that next time he uses the same basket to give you something else.
Ella, for the viewers' sake, this is one for the viewers' sake. You are
Mm.
encouraging us to tithe. You are encouraging us to have good communication in our families. You are encouraging us to save even in this new normal, save for the rainy days. My mom she always tell us, listen, you guys, if you work for 5 cents, it's important that you save 1 cent for the rainy days. Nobody knows what will happen in the future. And right now we are in a pandemic right now, and things are, people are losing their jobs left, right, and center. Thank God, I've kept my job. My job is doing pretty well since throughout the whole pandemic. Now, for you personally, share a testimony with the viewers. Have you been receiving blessings of being a returning tithe, of being a tithe payer?
I don't know if I'll be philosophical, but I'll try to say you cannot attach a blessing from God based on
Mm-hmm.
what you have done.
Mm-hmm.
You see, God is not there to pay us back. So we cannot say that I passed my ACC exam because I returned tithe.
Mm-hmm.
There's no link. I want viewers to read Genesis chapter 18, when God is promising, after that time when Abraham walked out of his yard with the angels, and then God was saying, or the angel was saying, can I hide this thing from Abraham, what I'm about to do? The main reason there was, God said, I know Abraham will be a good father to his children.
Mm-hmm.
That was before Abraham had children, but God blessed Abraham because of what he was going to be, not because of what he had done.
Right.
So God will not necessarily bless us for what we have done in the past, but what He sees in us. If He sees that we are unfaithful, why should He continue to bless us? He can't multiply our unfaithfulness. He will withhold because He knows that we will not put it to good use
Mm-hmm.
and will abuse the privilege of His providence.
Okay. Okay. Folks out there in the virtual space, today we are dealing with finance and managing our finance in the pandemic time. We know very well lots of people are struggling, literally struggling because of the loss of jobs. Money is not coming in. Today we have with us on set Elder Masuka, all the way from Zimbabwe, and he is just coaching us about how we ought to control our finance in this pandemic time. And he did share some very relevant information with us. And he said it is important for us to communicate with each other. I'm just sharing back with you what he told those who have just came on the program. Communicate with each other, and finance can be it can be a trigger for most family, because when finance are out, you can have problem, we can have problem. He also is encouraging us to just work together, sit down and have real good discussion, and we will see the betterment of our family. I want to thank Rosemary Edwards for joining the program, Geraldine Ferguson all the way from Tobago. How are you? Carlton Blake, Linty Grey Powder, Auntie Linty, how are you doing? Neil Alling, want to thank you for joining the program. Let's go back to our speaker. Hello, we have two more questions for you on the program today before we get off. At what age did you get married? This is part of one of the questions. What age did you get married?
It was a bit late, I think 32, 33.
How was your
Mm.
how you know where I'm coming from already? How was your the strength of your finance at that time?
At that time, it was very bad on my part of the country here. For those who know Zimbabwe, in 2008, that's when we reached our peak of poverty. I'll take that paradox, peak of poverty, because I think that time our salaries were about $200 in the church in Zimbabwe at that time, because we were moving from our local currency. We dumped it and adopted the South African rand, and within 6 months we dumped it and adopted the US dollar as our currency, and
Okay.
it is still here even up to now. Though we've got a mix of that is bouncing back. So I was weak within those confines, or strong, if I would say. But it was that time when we were just changing currency and we were just trying to gather a little bit of the pieces.
So your wife was working when you guys got married?
Yes, she also works in the church, but in another office.
Okay, so I'm asking you all of this for to ask you this question. Over the years, I believe you've grown financially.
I beg your pardon?
Over the years, I believe that you have grown financially from then to now.
Yeah.
Share with the world your technique, how you did it.
The technique that I adopted, I got interested in Joseph in Egypt when he told the king to save each year, to save for the time of drought. So that's where I strengthened this saving thing, that no matter what, save, save. Yeah, do something. It may not be, the money may not be enough for the whole project, but do something about it. Don't stop. Just like those who do marathon, one of their rules is don't stop, just to keep moving.
Okay. Could
Yeah.
could you tell us a little bit about before we get off about how when you guys were at very low state financially in Zimbabwe, and I'm not talking about your family, I'm talking about the country directly. How it was like for
Uh,
families
how was?
when Zimbabwe was a very low state financially, when you were having when you had a poor state financially, how it was like, how people made it.
Uh, there is a problem in that there are people who are much in the streets, and there's a term that came up with which we called burning. Take a matchstick on paper, you burn it with fire. So that's a process in the street, how you multiply your money. You know that you could fly from maybe Harare, in our flight, for you just take $5 and burn it, go and buy a ticket in local currency, because maybe the government would insist on a fixed exchange rate, while the street rate is maybe 10 times higher. So people would tend to abuse that. People lost houses because if they were selling in local currency, someone would take just a little $100, burn it, buy the property in Zim dollars. So people lost, and some clandestinely benefited. I mean, it was unethical, but that's how people make it, hustling and doing those things.
Okay,
So it
okay.
is difficult to remain faithful and do the right thing.
Okay, there's a comment here in the comment box. Sister Ancaster is saying you can't tithing to a blessing. You know, those questions were just for viewer six. Sister Ann, it's like telling a child to do something, and for doing it they get reward. So therefore the child will only obey because they are getting into reward. We were going somewhere. This is on teaching people to be faithful to God. Elder, we want to thank you so much. I know your time is out. What is your final comment for the viewers out there?
Yes, a comment that I'll talk about from what we have said here in terms of communicating. I would say that communicate, communicate, communicate. Do things together. If you are blessed with a partner, and take time to follow God's will, ask God what He wants. Let us be faithful to God. If you are not faithful to God, we can never be faithful to men. We cannot even be faithful to our own spouses. If we decide together with my spouse to be unfaithful to God, she cannot hold me liable to be faithful to her when she is teaching me to be unfaithful to God. I would rather obey God than men. That's what they say. So let us be faithful to God, faithful to ourselves. and we continue to give what belongs to God as we plan together our homes for heaven.
Okay. Elder, well, we thank you so much for joining the program today. I know we didn't have much time. You're a pretty busy man, but we want to thank you for the time that you have given to Move for Change Ministries and what you've shared with the people out there. I believe that if folks should take your advice upon your wonderful suggestions, things would be much better for us financially. And I'm coming back to the point when you mentioned let us communicate with each other, because meaningful communication is so important to the health of our family. Well, you take care of yourself and say hello to the family for me, and we'll talk on the back end when we get off the program. Folks, we just want to thank you for viewing, and we ask that you share this program with a friend. There is somebody out there who needs to hear this program, who might be struggling financially or somewhere or the other. There's somebody who needs to be faithful to God in a holistic way. Please share this program with someone so that someone else can benefit. Let's just not keep it to ourselves. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the day, and see you tonight at 8 p.m., which the topic could be There is Hope Beyond the Grave. 8 p.m. tonight, the topic could be There is Hope Beyond the Grave. We are living in COVID times, and so many people are dying. People can't even see their loved ones, after death with COVID. People are dying today. They have to be buried tomorrow by the government. There is hope after the grave. See you tonight at 8 p.m. God richly bless.